here doing this solo today. Going to do a quick one, probably going to take about 20 minutes, maybe even a little bit less, depending on how many of you guys pop in here and have questions, thoughts, etc. on this slate. I do like this slate. Unfortunately, I'm just going to get right to it. So, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out TrueDFS.com. It's got all my ownerships. It's got all of my plays, etc., etc. I'm going to start off with who I like at pitcher once we get a few guys in, and I will get into my stacks and my one-offs, and I'll talk about exact ownerships of every player if you guys want to know that. On DraftKings and FanDuel, I am not playing on other sites today, but I am playing quite a bit on those sites. So we'll talk about it. Had a close run last night. Would have been nice to get that monster. Just it was a small one, but still, it was pretty close. I thought I was going to have a good chance there for a while with all the time left, but didn't get there from the right Dodgers. Almost, but I second in the 222 and some good other stuff. But anyway, on to tonight. Say what's up when you get in the chat, because as you guys know, I do not love doing solo shows, and I'm happy to talk to you guys about anything you got to talk about in regards to this slate, and we will go until about 6:20 Eastern. All right, so let's talk this through. Pitching. I think for me, I'll just say exactly what I've got on DraftKings as far as pitching is spread out. I have 25% of Gibson. I have 30% of Fedde, 50% of Cole, but I have him like 80% in my bigger buy-ins. I have 15% of Montas, 15% of Luzardo, 15% of Vivaldi, 10% of Giolito, 20% of Kawar, 10% of Tukey, and 15% of Barrios. So I'm spreading it out mostly, other than Cole and Fedde, I guess you could say, with a little nod to Kyle Gibson, just in the good matchup. I also do have bats against most of those guys when I'm not playing them. I think it's a slate where you can do that very easily. Gibson, you can try and pick some spots. You can try and pick some spots against Fedde. You can try and pick spots against Montas and against Cole even, but I think Cole is probably the thinnest of all those. So it's really the other ones for me that I would actually be looking to target. Same thing against Luzardo, by the way. As far as stacks go, I have them as follows. I have Yankees in probably the most of my lineups. I have a ton of both one-offs of Houston and a ton of Houston exposure. I'm a little surprised that the current ownerships are where they are, and it's not how I have it rated quite myself. So just thought I would throw that out there, because I do think like I've got Bregman a ton, but I'm going to try to keep him out of my full Houston stack if I'm able to. Pivoting over to guys like Moncada, who I don't love in this specific matchup, but I am stacking the White Sox because they are all mispriced, Moncada included. So that is my sort of, my strategy as far as that goes. I do really like I like Philly a lot. I'm just not getting quite as much of them as I initially had thought. I'm going to try and hand build them into some more after we get off the air. But Philly, so I have the Yankees, White Sox, Houston, no shocker there, Dodgers, and Philly. That's what I'm doing in my lineups. I am going to force Philly in, as I mentioned, because I think it's the kind of spot where you really should. Look, they're really loaded. Like, this is a great spot for them. It's just a great spot for a lot of these guys. And Houston does stand out. I'm a little wary of the fact that they scored 7 million runs last night. That could be a little bit take me off of a little bit of my love. It just for no reason, that it's rare you see those things back to back. But that's kind of a silly thing, though. So I do love Houston tonight, and I think that they're actually less owned than I initially thought they were going to be. I just made a mistake here with one of my lineups. Going to make sure to clear that up. But yeah, so some one-offs that I like, some are in the stack, some aren't. Soto, Harper, Stanton, Conforto, Judge, Bregman, Abreu, Seager, nothing too wild out there. I do like Lamont Wade as well in the same price range as Seager. I'm sorry, as Conforto. And I have Eloy Jimenez just all over the place but I mean, I'm playing a ton of White Sox, so they're all lots in stacks. I'm even going down to the 9-hitter there. They're just mispriced, and I want to get those guys in. The one I have the least interest in is Grandal. Doesn't have career numbers nearly as good against lefties as he does against righties. I don't know how long that lefty will be in there, though, so paying up for Grandal is certainly viable as well, as you can have some room on this slate. So why don't you guys say, Barry Man's asking about Atlanta. I do have some one-offs from Atlanta. Mostly it's Riley, because I think he's priced really, really high, and I could see him easily being the top player at the position. But I am not trying to stack against Jon Gray. Like, it's funny because I'm the one who's always arguing not to stack against Jon Gray in Colorado. Why am I going to start doing it on the road? And people could say, oh, he's better in this and that. It's much harder to pitch in Colorado than it is on the road. So I am not going to take this spot, even though I definitely understand it, and I'm not going to try and talk you off of it. It's just not what I'm doing with my lineups. Let's see what else I got here. I'm just making sure I have my exact ownerships up. Looks pretty good. I have a ton of I didn't mention Eovaldi, by the way. He's 15. I have him 15% as well. I have a ton of this. I'm actually trying to actively get rid of some of my Altuve exposure because it's a little over the top. I have a little bit, I'm sorry, of a Bregman exposure. It's just too much. I have like 70% of them, and you shouldn't have that for a baseball player when you're playing a bunch of lineups. Oh, I just said what I thought about Grandal, so hopefully you got that one. Grandal is, in general, one of the worst plays you could make against the lefty historically. But I do think that the lefty won't necessarily be in there all that long, and I like the White Sox stack, so I can get behind it today. I ended up with a lot of Higashioka. I don't think he'll be owned as much as part of the Yankees stacks. I mean, 3,900. I'm just gonna take a look at my current ownership projection. I don't have a Dodgers starting lineup yet, which would be nice. Let's see where I've got Higgy at owned wise. Yeah, he's 15%. I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't love it. Andrew Knapp is another one I'm using in my Philly stacks. I don't really love the catcher spot all that much today. I do think Will Smith is a strong play. I think that Buster Posey, d'Arnaud. I have Maldonado because I'm playing Houston stacks. And Lyles gives it up to everybody. Salvador Perez is the one I didn't get to that much, and it's not that I don't like him. It's just that I'm playing some Montas, so I didn't get to as much of him. So anyway, drop in any other questions. That's pretty much it for my baseball takes for the day. I mean, we've got the cheap Houston outfield guys to fill in anything, whether they're part of the stack or not. I still like both McCormick and Siri. I don't mind doing that wraparound stack in Houston. It certainly makes a lot of sense to me. 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, and I have, like I said, an unhealthy amount of Bregman. So I just actively, in one of my 777s, took Bregman out in my Houston stack just to be a little bit different. But yeah, anyway, guys, if there's nothing else, I'm going to sit here for a minute, let you guys get some questions or thoughts together. Let us know what you're doing. Otherwise, we're going to be out of here because that's what happens when I do solo shows, and I've still got a bunch of lineups to edit. So it doesn't really work as strong when I'm restreaming. Not to mention that I'm distracted, but I also just the computer doesn't work as fast for some reason. Mini Boston, I'm okay with. Not where I'm at today, but I'm okay with it. It's fine. Barrios or Giolito, I prefer Montas, I think, now over both, but it's close between Montas and Barrios for me. I love Giolito. I think he's got the best spot here. The problem is I don't feel comfortable. I don't know. I don't feel entirely comfortable trying to guess at how many pitches he might throw. And if he's going great, yeah, he might get to that 90 plus pitch mark. They haven't been doing that. Hasn't pitched in 2 weeks. So for me, I'm just sort of going elsewhere, I guess. Yeah, and that's sort of where I'm at. I do actually have some Oakland a little bit on FanDuel more, but I also like Kawar against them. I mean, this guy threw 104 pitches in his last start. Yeah, it was against Baltimore, but 7 strikeouts. I know he gave up some runs in the end, but I love that they gave him the leash. 94 pitches the game before that, 17 fantasy points against Cleveland. If you're looking for a minimum cost guy, I actually have some Fedde and Kawar lineups, which I know sounds crazy, but I think that it could pay off big if you can get 20 out of each of those guys and the big bats hit. I do still like Philly, Jamie. I like Philly. I've even forced myself to play a little bit of Herrera at the ridiculous price tag. I just don't see people going there with their prices as much as I feel like they probably should. I'm going to take a quick look through their lineup. Yeah, you've only got Knapp and McCutchen above 10%. I mean, I'll take Harper. I'll pay 6,100. I'm happy to play Didi. I don't even mind Didi as a one-off. I'm less interested in Segura at his price tag, so I forced him in. And Herrera, those are the two that I didn't want to pay for. Brad Miller, I feel like is going to get more ownership than it looks like right now, probably more on FanDuel, I guess. But I think Brad Miller is a strong play as well and has a definite definite shot to hit one out tonight. I'm going to make sure to make a note for Brad Miller on FanDuel because I have him, but not as much on FanDuel, which is weird because he makes more sense over there. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got, guys. If you guys need anything, I think I went through all my plays and all my ownerships at the beginning of this. You can just press back and record if you want to hear it. And otherwise, I'll be in our Discord. Make sure to check out the Discord if you haven't already. Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Good luck to everybody. And we will hopefully see you at the top of the leaderboards. Go True DFS.